Well, hello there, everyone. How are you doing on this terrific Thursday, March the 30th, year 2023? My goodness, the month is almost over, which means quarter one is almost over. So, are you a stock investor? If you are, Q1 earnings will be coming out starting sometime in April, May, maybe trickled into June for some companies. But anyway, I'm here to talk about real estate and why I, Maskey Finance, invested in Gary, Indiana. Okay, so with that being said, I'm Maskey Finance coming to you currently from South Florida. Just had blood taken this morning, just 10 tubes today. And I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a attorney, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist. So with that being said, I'll get started here, but real quick, if you haven't watched my video from yesterday, I encourage you, if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. If you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. But I encourage you to go to the description. There's two links down there, one for Function Health, one for Zoe. I strongly encourage you more so than even to invest or to do anything. I encourage you to check these out. And if you got the financial means, and I told you the prices yesterday, $499 for functional health. Zoe will be a little bit less than that. I forget the actual price altogether. 300 some, 400 some, somewhere around there. But anyway, if you're 20, if you're 30, up to age 70, 80, 90, if you are alive and watching my video, I encourage you to sign up because why? It may keep you alive longer, decades longer than what you are already, your body's already going to live to be, let's say. All right, so I digress, like always. I am sitting here drinking my first cup of green tea of the day. So with that being said, why did Maskey invest in Gary, Indiana? I'm going to give you a little backstory here, and then I'm going to run through some numbers, okay? I'm not fancy dancy. I'm not pretty. I don't stick stuff up on the screen. I don't have graphics or nothing like that. I don't edit. Okay, it is what it is. It's the raw data. All right, take it or leave it. I personally don't care. I've gotten over my channel growing. I've gotten over this channel monetizing. I don't care. You can watch other YouTubers. And one thing about YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers repeat the same stuff over and over and get millions of views, hundreds of views, thousands of views. Maskey tries to not repeat too much stuff over and over. But some stuff, like my reasons for investing in Gary, I probably have said a lot of the stuff before. But I'm pushing, I think, 500 videos, so I know if you're a new subscriber, you're not going to go back and watch all my videos. All right, so with that being said, real quick here, I bought my first rental property in Virginia in January 2017. I bought my second property in Virginia in December of 2018. In 2017, I'm sorry, January 2017, December 2017. In 2018, in March of 2018, I bought a triplex in Virginia, okay? And that summer, I think it was August of 2018, I bought a single family home in Birmingham, Alabama, okay? So that was summertime of 2018. Sometime late 2018, I don't remember the exact month, could have been very beginning of 2019, I think it was late 2018, I started looking at other areas besides Birmingham. And I started finding out different things. I was learning more. I was looking at different websites. And for the first time, I started hearing about turnkey operators. And I found one turnkey operator. And I was considering investing with this person. So I texted Michael Zuber. I had been on Michael Zuber's YouTube channel. So I sent him a text. I think it was in December 2018, I was on his YouTube channel. So I sent him a text asking him if he knew of this investor, this turnkey operator. He replied to me he didn't. And I said, I told him basically I'm interested, even though I had at that time, I think 6 rentals, something like that. I'm interested in trying out a turnkey operator for a different state, different location. And he suggested he knew a guy, and he said, do you want me to put you in touch with him? And I said, sure. So he sent an email to that person and me. That person then, he put me in touch with his right hand man. The person he put me in touch with was Tom Olson. Tom Olson is up there in Northwest Indiana. Tom Olson has been flipping houses in Gary, Indiana. I think a couple thousand houses over the years. Okay. Tom Olson then started a turnkey company, the Olson Group. Okay. And he has several different companies. His right-hand man is Jerry Stokemeister. Jared and corresponded with me. And I had decided, I think for my first house in Indiana, what I did was I had also learned about self-directed IRAs. And I had been a stock investor since 1990. It's in 2018, 2019, probably 2019. And I took one of my stock portfolios in my Roth IRA. I sold the stocks, transferred them over to Quest Trust Company. It's a self-directed IRA company. And I had enough funds in there to buy one rental house, paying cash. And so with Jared, we identified a single family home, not in the city of Gary. It was outside of the city of Gary, okay, but in that general area. And I decided to buy that house. So I paid cash for it. Technically, I don't own that house. My IRA owns that house. And it's inside a trust, I believe, inside that IRA, something like that. And so I bought that house. Within a month or two, I think I closed in March. In May, my job, I was working part-time at the YMCA. They sent me to Chicago for a week, Monday to Friday, training. And while I was there, I asked the director, could I do this? Could I fly back later versus, just fly back later? It'd be the same cost for a flight. He said, sure. So a buddy of mine, he flew up there on the last day, and we had a vehicle rented, SUV, and we drove from Chicago over to Gary, Indiana, that area, to meet Jared and Tom. And while we were there, Jared drove us around, and we met one of my current property managers, and I met my original property manager. And he drove us around, and we looked at, I don't know, half a dozen different houses, including the one that I had just bought. Okay? I liked what I had seen. Why did I like what I had seen? Here's why. And this is what I saw. I saw a rough city. I saw a city that had potholes. I saw buildings that were decaying, houses that had been burnt down. I saw people that looked a little rough. But what I saw, and part of this is from talking to Tom Olson. Tom had told me, and I Googled the history of Gary. Gary's known as the most miserable city in the U.S. back in the 90s. We're in the 2020s. Okay, don't live in the past when you say it's the most miserable city. Okay, but then Gary, going back 100 years ago, was pushing 200,000 folks, hustling and bustling. And I think it peaked out 180 something. The downtown, there's pictures you can find, black and white pictures, majestic, the Opera Palace, the big building, the shows, the crowds of people, the Model Ts, etc. But then as the years went on, Gary had the steel industry. Things fell on hard times, as they do in the automobile industry with steel. And around the 1950s or so, I guess they had a recession, or I wasn't alive then. And they started, I guess, laying people off or closing down, whatever they did. And so some folks started moving out of Gary, okay? If you Google this, what you will find, I'll use this terminology, okay? They call it white flight. They said the whites started fleeing. A lot of the whites back then, think about the time period, a lot of the whites back then were business owners, okay? As they left, that means the business closed down. As one closed down, another business owner would leave, then more would leave, then residents would leave, residents who worked there would leave. And what they did, they went right next door. I was told, maybe by Tom, can't remember, that they built a town, and you had to be a certain distance away from another town, and they built it like smack up against that town, and built their own town, the new town, this blah, blah, blah. They did wrong. So anyway, they did that. Gary went into a decline. It lost a population of over 100,000 people. It was only less than 200,000 people because their population dipped to 70-ish, high 60s, I think, which means, and crime, when you have empty buildings, I was a cop for 20 years. I worked in crime prevention. You have the broken window theory. If you get a broken window and you don't fix it, it attracts more rocks that break more windows. It attracts more people that are not nice. They break out the street light, they make it dark, and things start happening. And it becomes, oh, don't walk on that block because of the first broken window. That was the theory. Gary had a lot of broken windows. Okay? So anyway, fast forward. There was a gentleman, I found him online, before Tom. It might have been the early 90s, might have been the early 2000s. He was from Pennsylvania. He went to Gary. He was a real estate investor. He went to Gary. And he found, wow, somebody had told him about it. Houses are dirt cheap. You could buy a house for like $10,000, $5,000. And he was a very nice guy. I read his story. He would hire inmates that had gotten out of prison, gotten out of jail, to do the work to fix up houses. And he would buy these cheap houses. He would employ these former inmates, give them jobs, and start fixing up houses. I don't know how many he fixed up. I don't remember. But I think he was one of the first people to get it going. By the time Tom Olson came along, I don't know what year he started, but he continued. I meet Tom in 2019. As 2019 progressed, I sold my second house in Virginia and used that money to buy 4 more houses in Gary. I used the Olson Group again, turnkey company. And by using them, I bought renovated houses. I knew they were good people. I knew they had a good heart. Okay? So I bought those and I bought some more. And I got new property managers because of my houses being located in the city. It was a different property manager. So I started putting all my houses with this one husband-wife team property managers. If you watch my videos, you've seen Kurt. He's been one of my videos on a walkthrough of a Burr house. Okay, Burr, buy, rehab, renovate, refinance, repeat. Okay, so I just kept buying, and through my property managers, I met a gentleman who was willing to do seller financing. And I did 2 cashback refinances on a triplex and a single family home, both in Virginia. And I bought 9 houses with seller financing. All right, I'm going to tell you some numbers real quick. And I'm going to tell you a couple other things. So if you want to invest in Gary, Indiana, here's something to think about. You heard me say houses used to be available there for $10,000 or less. Okay? When I started buying houses 2019, 2020, I bought a house. Let's see if I got the date here. No, I don't have the date. Sorry. It was probably 2020, early on, could have been late 2019. One of my contacts called me one day. He had 4 houses, a package deal from 2 different investors. I wanted to get all 4, but I couldn't. So I got 2, and a buddy of mine got 2 more. Okay? One of the 2 houses I got cost $18,000. Okay? I paid cash for it. You can't get a mortgage on an $18,000 house. I paid cash $18,000. And I was told an investor had run out of money and had been fixing up, and it was close to being done. So it took about $5,000 more to fix it up. So that's about $23,000 all in. And then you have closing costs when you buy, say another $1,000, because I didn't get a mortgage, so it was less, another $1,000. So say $24,000 all in. That house is a cute house. I still got the same tenant in there from when I bought it. They're still in there. Been a couple years now. Rent right now is $850. It's under market value, but same tenant. We don't jack the rent up on our tenants who are there. I don't use the binder strategy. I let my property manager handle it. We don't try to jack it up because we don't want to lose them. We will increase the rent, usually on average $50 a year for a tenant who stays. Okay, that was my best deal, price-wise, for a cheap house. Okay, some of those first houses I bought from the Olson Group. I'm gonna run down some numbers, some prices. I bought one house $69,900. I bought one house $44,900. I bought another house for $60,000. And I'm missing 1, 2, 3. And another one for $55,000. Okay, those were the first 4 turnkey houses I bought. The Olson Group now, when they sell houses, I routinely see prices $110,000, $120,000, $125,000, $130,000. Okay, I'm telling you this for a reason. Prices have gone up in Gary. If you're listening to me or you're listening to another YouTuber who makes videos on Gary, prices have gone up. Okay? You can still find deals. You can still find good deals. But you can find good deals in other markets as well. The great deals in Gary are done. The $10,000 houses are done. $18,000 houses that are almost completely ready to move in, I don't think you'll find them. You can still find houses for $25,000. They might need $40,000 worth of work. Okay? You can find houses for $50,000 and they might need $30,000 worth of work. I bought a house a year ago, February or March of 2022. I had to pay cash for it. I got it for $45,500. I had to rehab it. It took about 20 grand to rehab it. Okay, so that's $65,000 all in. Okay, so when I found that house, it was like, that was a good deal for then. But if you heard the price I told you, I bought a house for $44,900 from a turnkey operator just a year before. Prices were already going up. So when I found that house for $45,000, the seller probably thought it was a good price, but he probably could have sold it for $50, $55, $60. He was asking $39,900, and I got it for $45,000. Okay, I'm gonna run down some other houses. I told you about the one I just bought a year ago, $45,500. I bought two houses off the MLS in late 2020. Two off the MLS. Let me find them here. There we are. One was $59,900. One was $59,500. Both these houses, I found one. I was getting a mortgage, got it under contract, and it was a week or 10 days later, I was looking, I found another house. And I was like, oh, it's the same price. I want to get it. And I got them both, $59,900, $59,500. One of them right now is renting for $1,000. The other one's renting for $1,295, $1,295. Okay. Cash on cash return is on the $1,295 is 37%. I've had to put very little money into that house since I've owned it. Okay. The $1,000 house, cash on cash return is 15.51. That house, for whatever reason, tax and insurance are costing me a lot more, so they're cutting into some of my return there. So it's an okay return. But all my prices in Gary are primarily in the 40s and the 50s and a couple in the 60s. Okay, if I was buying today, and I may be buying today, it's harder to find a house in the 40s, 50s, or 60s. Okay, those houses I bought in the 60s were renovated. They were in good shape. Nowadays, if I find a decent house in the 60s, it's probably going to need at least $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to fix it up. Okay, why am I telling you this? If you're living in California, you're living on the West Coast, you may hear these whispers about Gary, Indiana. You may think, oh, I need to invest there. I need to invest there. Sure, you can invest there, but do your due diligence. Gary's not the only market, okay? There are lots of markets out there, but buyer beware. I just sold my second house down in Birmingham, Alabama, okay? That house I bought in 2018. It was my first buy in Alabama in 2018. I bought it for $45,500. Okay. When I bought it, rent started at $675. When I sold it 4 years later, my rent was $775. It didn't go up that much. I bought houses up in Gary that rent was $700 and the rent is now $1,200. That's a lot better. Now that house, whoopsie daisy. When I sold that house, I did sell it for $95,000 though, so I got some appreciation. But I gave the buyer a credit of about $9,000 because he wanted to do some work to fix it up, and I gave him that credit back. So it's kind of like I sold it for $86,000. Bought it for $45,000, sold it for $86,000, 4 years. Yeah. But I put a lot of work into that house, a lot of work. Personally, my numbers in Gary are a lot better, way better than my numbers in Birmingham. I'm not saying you can't invest in Birmingham. I'm not saying you should invest in Gary. But now with that being said, I have taken several folks under my wings and gotten them started in Gary, Indiana. I took Millennial Mike under my wings. I've helped him a lot. He's a fellow brother in blue. When I found out about him, he owned a duplex in the Seattle area. He now owns 13 rentals. That means 11 units are in the Gary area. Okay? Helicopter pilot Caleb, he's been on my channel. I took him under my wing. He now owns, I think, 20 rentals with maybe 19 or so in the Gary area. Okay? I took my two boys. They've always been under my wing. They both own rentals there. My buddy, he owns 4 rentals there. Other folks in my mastermind group, some of them I helped to join the group. My former mastermind group, I'm no longer in it. Some of them I helped to join the group. Others, Helicopter Pilot Caleb or Millennial Mike, brought into the group. So it's trickled down from me, but I trickled down from Tom Olson, but I got the idea from Michael Zuber. Okay, so that's how it started. So what's going on now in Gary? Just in that mastermind group, there's been, we might have owned collectively 100 houses in Gary. Okay, Tom Olson told me one time he's flipped over 2,000 houses. Okay, there's still empty houses in Gary. Gary still has its problems. Okay, but as houses get flipped, we get better quality tenants in there. Not always. Sometimes we have to evict. Sometimes we get Section 8. Sometimes we don't get Section 8. Sometimes we have to evict. But Gary is getting some businesses. Okay, Hard Rock Casino moved in, built a new place right there that was never there before. The Gary Airport has expanded. It's big. Amazon distribution, UPS distribution, and other businesses have moved into Gary. Okay, it's a bedroom community, kind of, sort of, from Chicago. It's about a 40-minute commute from the big city of Chicago. You can live in Gary a lot cheaper than you can live in Chicago. I have at least one of my tenants, I believe, maybe two, came from Chicago, and I think they work in Chicago. But what was told to me, they said they're paying whatever they're paying, $1,500, $2,000 for a studio apartment in downtown Chicago. Now they got a front yard, backyard, single family home house that they're paying maybe $1,000. But they got to drive 40 minutes to get to work. But now they're not living in the hustling, bustling city, and maybe they're tired of that. Okay? So, as always, buyer beware. I'm not telling you to do this. All right? I'm just saying it's a market I've had success in. I'm saying if you decide to do it, you're not going to have the exact same success that I've had, but you could still be successful. You may go to Birmingham, Alabama, and have great success. You may go to Memphis, Tennessee. You may go to South Bend, Indiana. You may go to Indianapolis. You may go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You may go to St. Louis, Missouri. You may go to Kansas City. You may go to your backyard, and you may have great success. You don't have to go to Gary. You don't have to invest here in Florida where I am. You don't have to invest in the Shenandoah Valley where I was. You have to find what works for you. What works for me might not work for you. If I eat a kiwi, it may affect me differently than it affects you. All right? So I'm wrapping this video up. Hopefully you learned a little bit about Gary. Hopefully you learned a little bit about some of my houses. I didn't go through how to run numbers, but I got a video called Running the Numbers. Okay, check that out if you need to. But with that being said, check out those 2 links from yesterday. They're in the description. It's to benefit you. I may make a second video right now dealing with health. Try to watch that one too. Maskey's out.